Joe Biden withdraws his candidacy for the presidential re-elections, and Trump calls for Biden's resignation as president of the United States. Will Bitcoin continue its rise, or will we see the collapse of this structure? In a brief letter shared on X on Sunday afternoon, the current president of the United States, Joe Biden, announced his withdrawal as the Democratic Party candidate for the presidential elections on November 5th, just 107 days before the elections in which former Republican President Donald Trump seeks to return to the White House. This decision puts the Democratic Party and the country in an unprecedented situation. Biden explained in his message that he has decided that the best thing for his party and the country is to focus on his presidential duties for the remainder of his term. Biden's resignation has caused a genuine political earthquake. Pressures on the 81-year-old president intensified after his poor performance in the June 27th debate against Trump, amplifying doubts about his physical and cognitive abilities. In his letter, Biden stated that he would address the nation later in the week to explain his decision. Shortly after, in another message on X, Biden expressed his full support and endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris to be the party's nominee, describing her as an extraordinary partner and calling for unity to defeat Trump. Biden's endorsement of Harris is crucial for the immediate future of the party. Harris, seen as the natural successor, has the advantage of being able to directly use the funds raised by a campaign that already had ballots prepared. However, her nomination is not guaranteed, and the process leading up to the August convention in Chicago is fraught with uncertainties. While many delegates might follow Biden's lead and support Harris, some within the party want to avoid making Harris's rise appear undemocratic, while others warn of the dangers of challenging the first woman of color to reach the vice presidency. Biden's resignation just months before the elections is unprecedented in American political history. The reaction of former President Trump, who leads the polls and consolidates himself as the undisputed leader of his promises to capitalize on the Democratic chaos. In a message to his supporters, Trump noted that Biden has abandoned the race with absolute dishonor and suggested that if Biden cannot continue as a candidate, he should not continue as president either. This climate of uncertainty and political turbulence presents an unprecedented and potentially explosive scenario for the future of the United States elections. We're looking at the Bitcoin chart on the 4-hour time frame, and we can see how this bearish structural trap brought us a strong bullish impulse. Let's take a closer look at this trap. Switching to the 1-hour time frame, we can see the strong bearish impulse followed by a complex corrective pattern with the W, the Y, and currently experiencing a micro bullish Z. This micro bullish Z is forming a wedge pattern where we can see the price becoming more compressed. And what does this show us? We can see that this wedge has not yet been broken and continues to be respected. Therefore, the Z remains valid and we remain positive on Bitcoin's price. Moreover, we could already be speculating that if the Z wedge breaks, we could expect the price to reach this micro defense zone. However, as we know, we are not going to try to reverse the Z. Instead, we will wait for a definitive signal of its breakout. And then, why not? Look for trap zones below this guideline to seek buys. Ultimately, what we will be looking for is that after the strong bullish impulse, which is the Z, we have a pause or corrective pattern to then seek to replicate the original impulse. So, with that said, where could we expect to look for buying opportunities if we see the price start to pull back? Well, a trap below this defense zone could be an option, for example. Always remember to have a tight stop loss to manage our risk well. This way, we can achieve a potentially large gain with very limited risk. Now, let's analyze Ethereum. But before that,
welcome to Crypto Insight, your ethical and moral channel for cryptocurrency technical analysis. Here, we really know what we're talking about. We conduct advanced technical analysis that has been developed for over 12 years. We upload videos several times a week. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, let me know and leave a comment with your opinion. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you don't miss the next opportunity.
we are looking at Ethereum on the 1-hour time frame, and we can see how after this distribution process, they work this supply line, which continues to be respected. At the same time, the price has been compressed in recent days along this supply line, which would indicate a possible breakout to the upside. We can also see that this price compression on the structure is nothing more than the Z of this corrective pattern, which, although we cannot clearly label it on this chart, we can identify we are experiencing a Z thanks to the comparative analysis with Bitcoin. Therefore, having the Z directive, which is this defense zone, and seeing that it has been respected, our Z is still valid, so we continue to look upward in Ethereum. But what would happen if the price of Bitcoin breaks the wedge forcefully? Well, it's not the end of the world. As we know, we are going to wait for it in a defense zone. In Ethereum, the comparison is that the price continues to develop, coming to recognize this defense zone may be a small trap to then continue looking upwards and seek the replication of this original impulse after a pause. Let's analyze Cardano now. On the screen, we have its 1-hour chart, and we see how after this bullish accumulation process, we have already broken its creek upwards, and now the price has entered a kind of range. The break of the creek belongs, if we do a comparative analysis, to the bullish Z, which comes to correct this bearish impulse with a corrective pattern, where we are not allowed to label W and Y here, but we can interpret that we are currently living in a bullish Z. And this is where cross-analysis also becomes relevant, as if we are going to be waiting for both Bitcoin and Ethereum to collapse in their bullish Z, we could be waiting for Cardano to make a trap below the creek, re-entering the previous accumulation structure before continuing to look upwards and seeking the replication of the original impulse that precedes it. Let's move on to Solana. Looking at its chart, also on the hourly time frame, we can see that it presents similarities with Cardano, but at the same time, it is somewhat different. Here we have a bullish accumulation process, which has also been broken upwards. Here we have the creek, and we can see as after this bearish impulse, here we are allowed to label a complex corrective pattern where we have WY, and currently we are transitioning into a bullish Z. And why do I say it has differences with Cardano? Well, in general, after breaking a creek upwards, the price usually returns to recognize it, that is, to test it, something that we haven't seen yet in Solana. The Z is being worked in a wedge format, and we have already been able to identify its possible directive. Clearly, this is a Z, and as we always say, we won't try to turn it around, but we will see how the price reacts to understand how to act at each point. After the wedge is broken and broken forcefully, we could clearly expect the price in this area, but what happens if the price continues a bit further down? We don't believe that a bigger drop in Solana means the end of the world, as it could easily be coming to recognize the previous creek, that is, revisiting the origin of the break. And since this impulse was stronger than in the rest of the currencies, its pause or corrective pattern could also be more marked. That said, we will then be expecting it to seek its bullish replica as we remain positive like in the rest of the assets. Lastly, we have DOT also on the hourly time frame, and we can see how after this redistribution process, a supply line has been worked on, which continues to be respected. Nevertheless, the price is being compressed over this structure, which could be alerting us to its future bullish breakout. And here too, the cross-analysis with the rest of the assets will allow us to know how to react to price changes, as if, for example, Bitcoin and the rest of the assets collapse the directives of their ZS. We could be expecting the price of DOT to make a trap below this defense zone before continuing its upward path and seeking the replica of the original impulse. To make a general summary, we are positive about the entire crypto ecosystem. However, since we have experienced strong bullish impulses, we can expect the pause or bearish corrective pattern to continue a bit longer before we keep looking upwards and seeking the replica of the original impulse. If you like this advanced technical analysis, let me know in the comments. Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you don't miss future analyses. Share this video with your friends and other trading and cryptocurrency communities so that more people continue to grow in their trading. Good luck with your positions, and see you next time.